not be aware of some of the Clarity 7 releases and some of the latest releases that are just out, outlook and status on where things are stand with Clarity 7. Then, as per the topic of the webinar, we want to then talk about that in the context of looking at Cognos. As many clients who have Clarity have already transitioned to various Cognos options, we want to highlight these for you and just kind of show some of the options that you have. We're going to talk about some of the upgrade incentives associated with doing that, and then we're going to move into a demo, and then some of the next steps and Q&A. So that's where we're going today. So let's just get right into it there. From an introduction perspective, some of you on the call we're working with already. Some of you know us, may have been on past webinars. Others may not know us at all. So we just want to take a few slides to introduce ourselves here at Clear Insight. So we're an advanced IBM business partner. We are focused, as you can kind of see on this slide here, first and foremost to the Office of Finance, as all of our professional services folks are experts in the Office of Finance. Many of them are ex-Clarity and ex-IBM, and so have lived the journey through Clarity, know Clarity very well, but also are experts in TM1 and Cognos and disclosure management and all those other items. So given that expertise, what is our goal? Really, we work with our customers, taking the given capacity that you might have in finance and perhaps a number of items that are inefficient, things that are not done as well as you want, and how can we help you achieve better outcomes with the given capacity that you have in the areas of financial management that we're talking about today, budgeting and planning, business intelligence analytics that we'll talk about today, financial disclosure management, that's the FSR and CDM for your financial reporting, whether it's internal or external, predictive capabilities, something newer on the horizon that is becoming mainstream that we're excited about being able to work with our customers on that area, and then lastly, risk and governance. So very simply, we're here to help you simplify and integrate your budgeting, planning, and forecasting processes, whether that's Clarity or onwards to Cognos, to help you automate and consolidate your financial statement reporting, and to ultimately get the data in your business out to the organization in a variety of ways for analysis and analytics. Just a little show of some of our customers from different industries and who we work with across Canada and the US, and all of them quite happy to kind of claim what we've been able to do for them in these areas. And just a few quotes from our customers and where they're at. All right, so Clarity 7, where are we at with Clarity 7 today? And so I'm going to ask in a minute, 1 or 2 slides forward, what version you're on. But right now, so if you're not sure, you can do a quick check on your Clarity version there. But Clarity 7, well, there's Clarity 6, of course, and some of you might still be on Clarity 6. We know a number of folks who are, and we're in the process of helping them get to Clarity 7 or get to Cognos. But Clarity 7.0 first came out in September 2011, and that's a bit of a benchmark year for Clarity. And then we transitioned into FixPack 1, FixPack 2, and then in July of 2014, well, a little after that, there was another release given to support Excel 2013. All of these releases since then have been FixPack releases. You will be well aware that there hasn't been new enhancements added to the system, new capabilities, new features. IBM has been clear that as far as Clarity is concerned, it's not their strategic direction or investment on Clarity in the areas of financial planning, but it is Cognos. However, IBM has been consistent in their support of Clarity and keeping it up and keeping it running for you as you have new versions of operating systems, new versions of Office to make sure that's working. The last point there you'll see in June of this year, which many of you may not be aware of, IBM released FixPack 3 of Clarity. And that just fixes a couple of things that were problems in FixPack 2 and a number of other things. I have the list and can send you a link to the list of what's in FixPack 3. So please don't hesitate to let me know, and I can send you that link if you're interested in exactly what went into FixPack 3 when it came out in June. Okay, so here we are, the first poll, and if you can see, Susan will, I think she's just opened the poll up there. If you can just pick one item, what version of Clarity are you currently running? Are you running on version 6 or earlier, version 7 to FixPack 1, 7.2, or have you been following the upgrade process and you're on kind of the latest version, option 3, or you were aware of FixPack 3 and you're already working on getting that up and running? So if you can just answer that, that would be great. And I'll just give you a minute or two to answer in. If everybody can put your answers in there, that would be great. Okay, Susan, if you can close that up, that would be great. You should all be able to see there. For everybody who's answered, it looks like you're all on 7, which is good. There's a big challenge, as you probably well know, and you probably went through, if you went from version 6 to version 7 to get your systems upgraded and running properly. Some of you may have upgraded to 7, and you can still run 6 templates under 7, but without taking advantage of some of the power and capabilities in 7. So some of you may be there as well, but it's good to see that all of you are on version 7, but not quite following the full upgrade path and leveraging some of the latest versions that are out. Okay, one last question for you. Let me just get back here. There we are. If you can get your fingers going there again. Poll number 2. Are you aware? What's your plans with Clarity 7 now? Pick one that you think is most accurate to the situation you believe you're in. And that is keep using it as long as possible, even past the withdrawal date of IBM if they withdraw Clarity 7, which is a possibility. They haven't announced that date yet, but you're on hold, and you will transition once the announced date, the withdrawal date is released. You're currently investigating transition options, or you're currently actually working on transition. So if you can all put your answers in there, just give another minute or two. Okay, fantastic. Susan, if you can close that poll up. Thank you for your answers again. Much appreciated. So 2/3 of you are currently looking at transition options, and 1/3 of you are going to keep using it as long as possible. And you know what? That tends to be about the way we see it with a lot of the folks we are working with in Canada and the U.S. on Clarity. The ones that are using it, it's kind of doing what they need it to do, and haven't really seen the need to transition up, are just going to keep using it as long as possible. And a lot of the rest of you are investigating it. And so hopefully this, the rest of the webinar will be helpful for both of you, really, because if you're going to keep using it, Clarity, as long as possible, of course, this is a mission-critical system for you in managing your finances in the business. You got to make sure it does stays alive, but there may be some features in Cognos that you might be interested in. Okay, so this doesn't apply, status 1, if anybody was on version 6, but none of you are on version 6 that responded, so that doesn't apply to you. If you are in this stage, which everybody responded to, you have the option of getting your upgrade going and upgrade to FixPack 3 for Clarity. And if you're planning on staying on Clarity for a while, or you currently are having some challenges with the version you have, and again, I'm happy to share with you what the upgrade elements were. it might be worth you upgrading to FixPack 3, and it's not a big job in doing that. We're, of course, able to help you do that to get to FixPack 3, and so that's something you should consider if you're not going to be making the transition in the near term. So strategic next steps for you, option 1, get to FixPack 3. And then you have 2 other options. One is IBM Cognos TM1, and we'll talk later about some of the IBM licensing equivalency incentives for you to transition to TM1. And then there's Cognos Express as well, which is a very attractive solution for a lot of the customers we have helped in their transitions from Clarity. However, it is focused in on customers who are going to be having less than 100 users. If you have more than 100 users, then Express is not an option for you. But as you will see, and as we'll talk about, Cognos Express does include and is really TM1 in a competitively priced package, suited very much for many of the Clarity clients. So those are kind of some of the options that we will be going through. So just to get you on to an introduction of Cognos and what it's able to do, some of you may or may not be aware of this. There's a number of solutions for Cognos. Cognos, of course, is world's renowned business intelligence and analytics. However, it's under the banner, TM1 has come under that banner as well. So you have Cognos Express there in the bottom left for under 100 users that will do all of the TM1 budgeting, planning, and business intelligence. You've got Cognos Enterprise BI, you've got Cognos Enterprise TM1, and Cognos Insight, a personal edition that we'll talk about that comes with both of those solutions. Within Cognos, whether Express or TM1, a couple of things as we start going through this that are different from Clarity. And by all means, get your questions in there as we go through this, and as Kit demos as well. TM1 Cognos Express has an Excel plugin. So instead of generating Excel reports, your users can actually open up Excel and access the data directly. No more do you have to be emailing Excel reports around, exporting data to Excel. You can leverage Excel against your data cubes directly, and it provides a lot of functionality and flexibility, and as a matter of fact, you build your reports for TM1 in Excel as opposed to Report Studio that you use for Clarity. You're going to be leveraging Excel for many of the reports and templates that you're going to build. You also have the desktop interface, which is Cognos Insight. That allows users to take a slice of their data automatically, the templates that you have. So folks who are doing budgeting and planning can do that offline, and when you connect back in again, your updates will be pushed back into the cubes automatically. So it gives you a personal offline version. And then the last one here, well actually second last, I'll mention another one, Managed Collaboration is where there's tremendous workflow beyond what was available in Clarity to support and managing the workflow of the budgeting and planning process, who's working on what when, who's approving what workflows until it makes it back to the finance team. And I believe Kit will be showing you a bit of that. The fourth one, I'm not showing on this slide, is a complete mobile interface that comes with Cognos. So all of that, what you're doing, whether it's in Excel, whether it's through the browser with Managed Collaboration or on the desktop, you can also do in a mobile format, and the reports work in mobile that allows folks with your phones or your tablets to enter and update budgets and plans, to look at reports and dashboards. It's all part of the solution now. From a Cognos Express perspective, there's 2 different types of users. There's a reporting user and a planning user. And so if you have all sorts of people in the business who don't really need to contribute to the plans but need access to the information that perhaps you're generating with Clarity right now, they only need to be a reporting user, and that gives them all the mobile capability and dashboard capability as a reporting user. And then those users that need to enter the plans and the budgets, etc., then they would be a planning user. And then there's a complete user as well, which has access to both those capabilities. And so as we work with our customers, we help to optimize your what users need, what capabilities, so that they're getting the most out of the system, but you're minimizing your costs. There is also with TM1 a cloud addition, something called Concert, and actually IBM has just announced internally to partners and to IBM of some work they're doing to further enhance Concert, and so later this year, in the next month or two, we will see an upgrade on this. But this is just to give you a little taste of the online hosted cloud version of TM1 that can bring tremendous number of incremental capabilities and nicer interfaces for your budgeting and planning and enable communication throughout. So that is something that becomes part of your TM1 cloud environment. Just for the record then, from a Clarity 7 to a Cognos for your budgeting and planning and your analytics, the left side is for financial performance management, and IBM ranked in the top there for budgeting and planning, and that's relative to the Cognos solution. And on the right side there, that is the business intelligence and analytics capabilities that will take you a long way from what you're currently doing in Clarity, and IBM is clearly the leader in that space as well with Cognos. So I've got a few slides now that I'm going to walk through, and these slides are just going to kind of speak about some of the capabilities in, and it says Cognos TM1 at the top. It's Cognos from a budgeting and planning perspective, whether it's Express or TM1, and some of the things that you could experience and see, and Kit will show a few of these in a transition from Clarity to Cognos around performance, measurement, engagement, and deployment. From a performance perspective, you're going to see noticeable performance gains. And Kit might talk about this, but within your Clarity environment, you generally have your information in one very large cube. In TM1 and Cognos Express, your underlying cubes, you're going to have multiple cubes to support and make it more efficient for report building and make it faster for access and budgeting and planning data entry. So there's some substantial increases in performance that you're going to experience depending on which interface you're using that supports that. One of the things is your users who are going to be using the browser interface. In Clarity, to use a browser interface, you did need a plugin that had to work to make that work. In TM1, there is no plugin. It's a zero-based footprint solution built on Java, and so your users simply go to the link, log in, and they have access to the system as per the little pictures here on this slide. It's going to be faster, supported better in remote WAN environments, possibly eliminate the need for Citrix that some of you might be using now with Clarity. So zero footprint and faster access on the web. From a measurement perspective, a number of increased ways to allow you to improve measurement. You see here in these little pictorials, not only are your basic reports including numbers and things, but now you have dashboard capability built right in, and it's really from a queue perspective in the underlying structure to just a few mouse clicks to convert that to enable the dashboarding capability with the stoplights, etc., that are in there that will help in the presentation and the measurement of your information. It's classified under scorecarding that is included in TM1 with your users that goes beyond what you could have done in Clarity to support your KPI tracking, and is very simple for you to do, for you to build, and for your users to read and get a better visualization of your numbers. The scorecarding goes beyond just the stoplights in the grids, but this just gives you an example of some of the incremental charts that are capable, and there's new charts and new capabilities being added all the time. And these can flow in to help you understand what's driving profitability, what's reducing costs or increasing costs in the business. And so there's a lot of incremental benefit to your end users in what you can offer them beyond what you're doing right now with Clarity. On the engagement side, it's engaging multiple user segments with the different interfaces, whether it's the mobile capability, the offline Cognos Insight, or the Excel capability itself. And this is an example, just a little picture of Cafe, it's called. There's two things in TM1. There's one, the original Excel capability plugin. It's called TM1 Perspectives, and Kit might be showing you that. And then there's also Cafe that is now available, and it's just a different technology on Excel. But you see in this little picture here, it's actually Excel that is opened up by the user with the additional tab of IBM Cognos that gives you full access to your database, but you're running Excel. So again, your data is not sitting in the Excel spreadsheet unless you want it to be that way. The data is running live against the database and dynamically adjusted for your end users. And of course, when you're in Excel, then they have full Excel capability for doing calculations on those columns, changing variance, turning them into graphs, whatever they see fit. So it gives your end users that full power and capability of Excel that they don't want to give up, but it eliminates the need to be emailing around spreadsheets and lots of control and security in your information because the data is all kept in the database now. The mobile capability, within mobile, whether it's on your phone or on your tablets, you actually not only can do your BI reporting and get updates every day on the new numbers as the actuals come into this environment and compare them against forecast, but users can actually, from the mobile capability, enter in new numbers and push that back to update their forecasts in the business. From a deployment perspective, you have the ability to deploy this either on-premise, like you have Clarity on-premise on your servers, and it can be virtualized onto your servers, and we just ramp up a Cognos Express or TM1 environment on your servers there, or we can offer TM1 on the cloud. So everything's supported by IBM on the cloud, and you don't have to worry about putting in the patches. We just talked about all the patches and upgrades for Clarity. That would automatically be done if you were on TM1 on the cloud. And we're happy to talk further, of course, with any of you how that works and what's involved with that and what the difference in pricing would be between on-premise versions and cloud versions. As you deploy your applications, I'm not sure if Kit will get into this today, but there's TM1 Architect and Performance Modeler that gives you a GUI interface into your models and allows you to build and manage your cubes on an ongoing basis, and is done in such a way that finance can handle this perhaps more than they were able to with Clarity. And there isn't a need for your SQL Server licenses under the covers. There's not a need for S-based licenses under the covers. It can all be handled within the TM1 cubes now. So there's a cost savings in being able to eliminate SQL Server and or S-base as you transition to Cognos as well. There's something called Operations Console that allows your administrators to see who's using the system when, who's maybe where there's a clog in the system, if there's an issue. It gives you full control over managing your environment from an administrator perspective beyond what you might have seen and had before within Clarity. Something else that I wanted to bring up is CubeDocs, Clear Insight. We are the sole provider of CubeDocs across Canada and uniquely in the US to TM1 clients. This is a solution that would go along with your Cognos TM1 or Cognos Express, and it automatically documents your full environment and provides you documentation and allows you to manage your environment. It's great for end users as well as developers to keep track, to run variances and compare dev systems versus production systems, to compare regional systems. There's a lot that can be done with this, and it's specifically designed and built to enable better management and control of your TM1 environment. So this is another incremental capability that would go along with a transition up to Cognos or TM1. Cognos Disclosure Management, we'll touch on this a little later again. As you probably saw from our announcement, For those of you that are on this webinar and are considering a transition to Cognos, we are happy to provide you with some free licenses of Cognos Disclosure Management along with an upgrade to TM1 or Cognos Express. And some of you may be FSR users, some of you may already have CDM, but if not, this is a tremendous solution that plugs in along with Cognos for your financial reporting. If you're in the US and you have to do XBRL reporting to the SEC, or you're just do a significant board reports of narrative capabilities, this is a complementary solution that will completely transform the way you're doing it if you're trying to manually do it with Excel and Word, and provides you a collaborative relationship for doing these major size reports. And so that's something that we're excited to be able to offer to those on the webinar today, along with the Cognos Express or TM1. So with respect to the upgrade incentives, just before I turn it over to Kit, there is, for those of you who your Clarity full use licenses that you have, IBM has offered an incentive that they will transition those end user licenses from Clarity 7 to Cognos TM1. So you don't have to be buying end user licenses of TM1. They're provided to you under the Clarity 7 licensing that you have. So if you have 50 or 100 Clarity 7 licenses, you automatically get 50 or 100 TM1 licenses. But you do have to buy the TM1 server to go along with that. And this makes sense and is valuable for some clients we've transitioned, and it's very cost effective for them to be able to do this, especially if some of you have unlimited Clarity licensing. There's some tremendous benefit in taking advantage of this licensing. And so a discussion with you, if we look at your Clarity SNS, your maintenance bill that you have, we can help share with you whether that's a value to go that way. Alternatively, you can go to Cognos Express, depending on whether or not the first one makes sense for you. And then the Clear Insight incentives, as we mentioned, we had a special offer where we were offering 3 seats of Cognos Disclosure Management at the end of December that some clients have been able to take advantage of. But specifically for folks on the webinar, we're prepared to extend that for you on this webinar. And I think we had said just 1, but we're feeling good today, and we would offer you the 3 and carry on that incentive before. And so we're happy to talk to you about that and get 3 copies of CDM at no additional charge in a transfer from Clarity to Cognos or TM1. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kit, and seeing is believing now. And so Kit's going to walk you through a couple of interesting things. Kit, I'm going to make you the presenter now and turn that over for you. And I'll be back after the demo from Kit. So again, please make sure you get your questions in there if you have any questions as Kit goes through it as well. Kit?
Thanks, Ian. So I'm going to start with an interface that you guys are all familiar with. Good old Clarity. Now, as you can see here, this is probably what most of your environment looks like. Very typical Clarity 7. You have your templates reports, and let's look at typical template here. So if I drill down into my sample templates, I can see that I have one called expense template budget. So once open, now I'm sure that you guys will probably have seen this either in your, most likely in your training, because I think this is based upon the standard Clarity training template. Now, your template may or may not look like this, but I'm sure that it has very similar components to it. So you see here, very typical yellow area indicates where you can change values, right? And you've got, additional functions on the side like spreading, percentage change, save, etc. Now, this is nothing new. So, first step in assessing what you want to do is, well, do you really want to keep what you have? If it works for you and that's what you want, great. we can do it. So very simply, we can convert this look and feel to the Cognos environment. Now I'm going to show you what this particular template looks like in TM1. So I'm going to switch over to my TM1 environment here. And as I log in, now there are several different interfaces. So now to compare apples to apples, I'm going to use the TM1 web, which is the zero footprint. So unlike Clarity, right away you've got an advantage of a true zero footprint environment. Whereas Clarity, you are limited to Internet Explorer along with the use of the ActiveX control. You can see here with TM1, I can use any JavaScript-enabled browser. I'm currently using Firefox, and there's no ActiveX component that is required. So a little bit different here in terms of the interface. You know that I have a bar on the left as opposed to a menu bar on top, but I've structured this layout very much like what you will see in Clarity. You can see here, as I expand Clarity, I create my reports, my templates. Right, very simple. If I expand my templates, you can see budget. So say I just for comparison's sake, I've created that. So now I've also recreated the expense template budget. So when I show this, you can see that looks very, very similar to the Clarity. Let me flip it back and forth there. Right? Some slight differences. You actually have some features where you can have, the change your page options. It's actually in sheet, right? Some of the edit spreading features are actually based on a right-click now. Data spreads. You can see there's several more spreading features that we can do, but everything else is there. So again, I can change any value here. And it changes. And I can save. Right? Actually, don't have to save it, but it's kind of one of those save commits. You see, so right away it's very, very similar. We can make it look like that, but there is something to be said about keeping it the same. But if you have the capabilities of making it not necessarily just look nicer, but use some of the added features that you can in TM1, why not use it? Since you're transitioning from one project to the next, it might be a good time to reevaluate how you're doing things in Clarity, and then perhaps looking at doing it in a different way in the Cognos solution. So now I'm going to switch over to a full TM1 solution here, or Cognos solution. Ian, can you switch me over to the other server, please? Okay. So now I'm going to show you the Cognos solution. There are many different interfaces. Again, what I'm going to show you first, I'm going to show you the web feature, but I'm also going to show you a little bit of the workflow. It's slightly different than what you have in Clarity. Now, some of you may or may not be using workflow, but I'm going to start by demonstrating a workflow capability in Cognos. As you can see here, again, it's web-based. So on my left, I have my company hierarchy. You can see with my company here, there are several different icons which indicates the state of things. So you look at under Canada, it's all green, and all the nodes underneath Canada are locked. That means that they've been done and are submitted. So as an administrator, obviously I can see every single location, but if I were to log in just as a user in a particular location, all I'm able to do is see my own. Right? So let me go into, let's say, Massachusetts here. So on the eastern region, you can see here I've got several different cities several different areas underneath that. So let's say I go into Massachusetts here. right away, it launches a then the web application, and brings me into a nice little intro screen. Now, for your particular implementation, you may not need this intro screen. You can just, as you can see here, I have, you've got some instructions. You have multi-tabs on the bottom and top. Right? Tasks, status. Right? You may not need any of this. Again, this is one nice advantage with Cognos is that it's very customizable. Whereas Clarity, you're limited to the look and feel of what it's presented. Here, you can make it as fancy as you like. So let's look at something first of all here. I'm going to look at the very typical P&L report. Okay. So over on my P&L tab, as I flip over, you'll see that it comes up. I can also have different types of P&L. So let's look at very straightforward P&L. Okay. Obviously yours will look a little bit different than this, but a simple year with a quarter along some graphs. This is a dynamic report. I can expand on it, etc. Right? So I can have different versions. So if you look at a variance, right? So I'm looking at like a variance type report where I can switch a scenario that to something else. Right? Prior year actual versus target versus actual. I don't know if there's any data in there. Yeah, I don't have any actual data. But you can see I can switch out different scenarios. Okay. And also with this, I can also and some of you guys might have this already done in Clarity, where I can do forecasting. That you import actual data along as they come in, and then you alongside with one or more versions of the forecast, and you can adjust it as you go forward. And just a little bit of functionality I want to show you here. Just like Clarity, there are some standard modules that we have that's ready for quick deployment, such as Capital. And so you can see it looks quite different than what you have in Clarity, but this is just tip of the iceberg. You can make this look as fancy as you want or as simple as you want. That's just the power of Cognos, which allows you to do that, right? I can easily enter a item here. I'm sorry, I need to take ownership first for making changes. So once I take ownership, and I'm just going to quickly flip back to a prior sheet here. You can see here, once I've taken ownership, this workflow is updated, right? So I'm now taking owner, it's reserved. That means I'm currently working on it. Okay. So once I take ownership, I can begin to enter data. Enter value here, 1,000. You can see right away, my graph changes to match what my entry is new. Same with it. Same with if you're using the current Clarity HR module, again, we can allow you to do a similar thing. Here in this example, I'm budgeting by employee. We can also let you do by employee or by job category, and this is just one way of viewing it. We can customize this to any view that you need or any particular way you want to do your human resource budgeting. So I want to take a moment to go into operating expenses here, because it's usually the simplest to show, and it's everybody has expenses. So look at a very typical operational expenses budgeting page. You can see here, I got my expenses on my left, and I can always expand it. So it's very dynamic. I can enter a value here. notice that some of the changes are in blue, but you also notice that once I enter the changes, it turns blue. Basically, my change and any dependencies on that change, whether it's a sum, average, total, gets reflected. So I've entered, I made a change here. So if I go back to my P&L, you can see here, just by one of that change, you can see how it's affected. Right? It rolls all the way through. So that's a nice little feature that Clarity doesn't have. Also, there are more built-in functionality in terms of spreading here. For example, let's look at office supplies. Right? I'll start with that. So in Clarity, you had your spreading functions on the left. Here, it's inline. So I want to do a data spread. So let's say I want to do an equal spread. I want to spread $400 to the right. Right? So now equally spread, so that's $33 each. Office equipment. Actually, let's do go into postage and mailing. I can repeat $100 to the right. And the function that I like the most, and it's actually built in, whereas in Clarity you have to create it, is what's called a relative proportional spread. So that works by taking a aggregated value for the year, and let's say I want to do a relative proportional spread, but I want to base my spread pattern on the same account, but actual of last year. So what this does is it uses last year's pattern, and I enter this year's total value, and uses last year's seasonality, spreads it against this year. So it's a nice little built-in function, as well. Now these are more of a report, very formatted, but we can also allow what is called cube views, which gives you a little bit more dynamic ability. So as you can see here, I can, it looks very similar to what you have, but what I can do here is I can move things around. So let's say that I want to compare the different versions. Actually, you know what? Let's look at company. So I can actually take this, drag and drop, and replace it with that. Right? So now my column, I'm looking at January, total year for Massachusetts. And channel, or I can, so I can show more channels. This one here. Let me. You can see here, I'm able to dynamically rearrange as I need. So if I want to look at products, I'll bring products to the rows. All right, so this is a capability that Clarity didn't have. So there's an advantage of having a little bit more dynamic. One other thing that I want to show you, obviously, there's version capabilities, but what's nice about Cognos is it allows you to create what is called a sandbox. Think of sandbox as a play area that I can, version off. I don't like using the word version, but I can create a temporary play area where I can play with the numbers without actually affecting my standard budget. So if I create a new sandbox here, called Demo 1, so it takes a copy of my original budget. So you can see that in my budget, I've made changes, but I haven't committed my changes. So now with this, I can make changes as I need, right? Same thing, you know, it turns blue. Repeat. Right? But what good thing about it is I can flip back and forth between my demo 1 and my default. Right? And when you're ready to save it, once you save your whichever one that you want, so I can have multiple sandboxes, play around, get the one that I want, one single, yeah, I like that one, I save it, I commit it, and that becomes my budget. So it's a nice little feature there. You know, it's really allows for you know, a more individual, customizable way of looking at the numbers. All right. So what I want to show you next, let me get out here. Well, let me commit my changes here. And if I go back to here, as you can see, my little working on it icon, it's done. All right. But I haven't submitted yet. Submitted yet, so it's still under a reserve state. Okay. Once I submit it, right? So once I submit, back into lock state. So as an administrator, I can accept it, or I can, my option is now reject it. Okay. If I reject it, because I don't like the numbers, it goes back to a reserve state. Okay. All right, so now I want to show you a little bit of additional function that native Clarity doesn't have. Now, I'm not sure how many of you use Visualizer, but I just want to quickly go through some of the visualization you get with TM1, which is a little bit more advanced than what you would see in Clarity. I know we're running a little short on time here, so quickly go through in the next 5 minutes, give you some examples of what you can expect to see. I'm going to show you a really simple type of visualization. So this is more like an active report type. I have you know, a very simple visualization. It doesn't have drill through capabilities, but it's dynamic. So I can see here I have some radio buttons that I can change, and the numbers change accordingly. Okay, so it's one way of one visualization. The next level you can go to is a little bit more complex, and this is something like more of a corporate dashboard. So I can see you know, a director level, manager, and above, looking at this kind of dashboard that, you know, gives you an overview of your KPIs, as well as some ability to more capabilities to change to show what you want to see, right? And also some navigation to a little bit more detail. So, for example, I just you know, drilled into, not drilled into, but click on a button that goes into a different part of the dashboard, and I want to click into here. So again, I have a little bit more capabilities here. So I want to drill into operating expenses. All right. So again, this is something that it's a little bit more difficult for you to do in Clarity, but it's you know, it's great for giving you a overview of what's going on within your organization. And my final one is a more complex dashboard, which is very busy. So you can see here, this is probably a more complex dashboard. It's got a little bit more widgets. I can, you know, vary the information on here by, you know, changing my widget here. You can see the rest of my screen changes. Being able to drill to other reports. sorry, right? Yeah, I can drill down into worldwide sales. Right, this one didn't have any drill up. Let me quickly show you another one here where it so you can see here, this is like a sales analytic type dashboard. And for example, if I want to drill into Europe, the rest of my widgets change according to my selection here, right? So you can see that you know, there's many capabilities that Cognos has that Clarity didn't. So, and I wish I had more time, but I think we're a little bit short in time. So Ian, I'll bring everything to a close, and I'll give everything back to you.
All right, Kit, excellent. Great demo there. Thank you very much for that. So we just have 2 minutes left, and we'll bring it back to where we are here. Let's make sure, hopefully everybody can see my screen now. So kind of next steps for each of you on the webinar is you kind of have a couple of options to think about. None of you are up to Fixed Pack 3 on Clarity, so that's certainly an option if there's a need to do it. You certainly don't have to, but if you're having trouble with anything and you're not going to be upgrading for a while, that might be something you want to do. And again, please let me know. I'll get you the listing of what's in that new Fixed Pack, and we're happy to provide some support and insight for you in doing that transition. Alternatively, there's Cognos TM1 and Cognos Express, which you can really think about as one and the same. It just depends on whether you're going to be able to take advantage of the licensing equivalency or whether you have more or less than 100 users. And that's just a little chat that we can have around your maintenance, latest maintenance bill that you have, and with that we can sort out and get you some prices of what would be involved in transitioning to both of those. And that's relative to the software. Relative to really what you can take advantage of and all that Kit has showed you and what we've talked about, it's different for everybody. And so we have a kind of a fine-tuned discovery process that we can do in a day or two in your environment and evaluate kind of what your new needs are, what's worth taking from Clarity over to the new environment, where we can consolidate and optimize, and as far as helping you, mentoring you, and training you in the new environment, which we enjoy doing. So that's something to consider, and reach out to me if you're interested in a little discovery session to help fine-tune further on what you need to do for that. Now, just before we shut it down, I wanted to see if there was any questions. Susan, maybe you can just let us know if there's any questions, or anybody who wants to enter one now. We'll give you a minute. Susan, is there anything there?
There is a question, and it's with respect to drill downs. Yeah, Kit, if you could explain to what level you can drill down into those reports that you were showing.
Yeah, so the question is, can you budget at a line item detail? And the answer is yes. I don't know if you recall, but in one of the screens there was a button that says LID, which some of you or all of you who use Clarity would know that. So it can, if it's set up that way, will allow you to go below your GL item level. And which leads to the second question. When you're expanding the hotel line, does it drill down any further? Same idea there is, in this example, the hotel is the lowest, but if I wanted to budget below that, just on any account, I can always enable the line item detail function, which will allow me to budget beyond that. The example that I usually use is a courier line, right? So you have a GL account for courier, but perhaps you want to budget for each individual, like DHL, Purolator, FedEx, UPS. So you certainly create individual line items from a budgeting purpose, since it doesn't exist at that level in your GL.
Okay, excellent. That's it then, Susan, for questions?
Yes, that's all of them for now.
I think so.
I think so. Okay, fantastic. We are, I think, at the top of the hour. We appreciate your attentiveness to our webinar today. We really hope that it has been some insight and value to you on some of your options. I'm not sure if for some of you, there might be a team of you in the room. For others, it might just be one person there. But we would welcome the opportunity to answer any questions specifically. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me. There's my contact information. And we look forward to connecting with you at some point in the future. So thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day. And we look forward to touching base down the road. Bye for now.